What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio, or should I say welcome back to the All I Feel Is Pain channel.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
My name is Corbin, and last night the Red Sox lost in embarrassing fashion. Well, should I say Franchy Cordero lost in embarrassing fashion, because the Red Sox actually tried pretty hard to make up for Franchy Cordero's mistakes, but it didn't work out. Then, to make matters worse, I have a great stream. We have a ton of fun. Thank you to everyone who showed up. I get off stream, and immediately I see that one of my favorite players on the Red Sox in recent memories, Andrew Benintendi, had been traded to the Yankees. Great. Fantastic. The Red Sox seem to be falling into a pit of despair, but that's not what we're talking about today. What we're talking about today is more trade deadline stuff, because it's either that or we focus on how terrible the Red Sox are. So what we're going to do today is we are going to talk about Nate Eovaldi. We're going to talk about whether or not I personally think that Nate Eovaldi will be traded at the trade deadline. We're also going to talk about what that means for the Red Sox going forward. But before I get into that, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys are hitting the like button on these videos as well. It helps it out a ton and would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Nate Eovaldi has been the workhorse for the Red Sox for a while now, basically ever since he joined the team in 2018. And it's honestly pretty fair to say that because of everything that has happened with Chris Sale during that time, Nate Eovaldi has been our ace for the last 4+ years. Over the span of 2018 to 2021, Nate Eovaldi has an ERA plus of 1.12, which is 12% better than the rest of the league. He also has an ERA of 4.13 and a FIP of 3.65, plus a bunch of great memories for Red Sox fans to go along with it. This year though, Nate Eovaldi is a little bit of a different story. For starters, his velo is much lower than it had been in the past. He's also giving up more home runs than he's ever given up in his career up until this point in the season. And on top of that, to make matters worse, his command isn't what we're used to from Nate Eovaldi. He's giving up more walks than we're used to, and we're seeing a lot of runs come across because of that. This year, Nate Eovaldi has an ERA plus slightly below average at 99, an ERA of 4.32, and a FIP of 4.59. Now, with the Red Sox currently 4.5 games back of a wild card position, and on top of that having to leapfrog 4 different teams to get into a wild card position, the likelihood of the Red Sox being sellers at the deadline is becoming more and more apparent every single day. Combine that with the fact that Nate Eovaldi is an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year, and the fact that the Red Sox haven't brought up a single thing to do with him being extended, they haven't even talked about wanting to re-sign him in the offseason, leads me to believe that the likelihood that Nate Eovaldi could be traded is pretty realistic. Now, on paper, Nate Eovaldi isn't going to get you a huge haul when being traded, right? He has below average stats this year. His velo's down, home runs are a problem, yes. And that might warrant a smaller trade package, but at the same time, if you are a championship team, you want to get into the postseason, it looks like you're going to, and this is your year. You want this to be your year, because in the next couple of years, you're going to lose some key guys, whatever. Sometimes just on paper stats aren't enough to evaluate a player's trade value. And that, in my opinion, is what we're looking at with Nate Eovaldi. Because for a championship team, if you're looking at Nate Eovaldi, you have to look at the fact that he has a 3.14 ERA in the postseason. Couple that with 40+ innings, you've got an experienced postseason producer that has success in the postseason. On top of that, he's also been the #1 starter for a postseason team and the #1 starter on a big market team. And those, in my opinion, combined with the fact that he's maybe a little bit producing less than what we're expecting from Nate Eovaldi during the regular season, probably means that we would get a relatively decent haul for Nate Eovaldi. So all of the factors combined, the fact that Nate Eovaldi hasn't been producing as well as we've expected, the fact that the Red Sox aren't playing at all where we expected, the fact that Nate Eovaldi is a free agent at the end of the year, and the fact that there is a possibility that we get a fairly decent haul for Nate Eovaldi leads me to believe that Nate Eovaldi is for sure on the chopping block. The question is whether or not the Red Sox will actually pull the trigger though. That's a really tough question to answer. Chaim Bloom's been kind of all over the place with the way he's describing the Red Sox approach at the deadline, and it makes sense because a month ago, right, Chaim Bloom was saying, oh, at the deadline, what we're going to need is bullpen relief. I want 2 good bullpen arms, and we're going to really bolster this bullpen. Well, that was before the Red Sox kind of collapsed in on themselves. Now, lately, Chaim Bloom has been saying that he still thinks that this team is a postseason contender. But again, That was before we were 4.5 games back of a wild card spot, last in our division, and having to leapfrog 4 teams to get in. So in my opinion, the stance of the Red Sox front office regarding the trade deadline is changing day by day. We don't really know what their stance is going to be until that trade deadline happens, and it could very well decide the fate of this 2022 season. To play devil's advocate here, if Chaim Bloom is actually telling the truth, if he really does think that even 4.5 games back with all the injuries, with all the mishaps, that the Red Sox can still be a postseason team, then in my opinion, trading Nate Eovaldi doesn't make any sense. And the reason for that is because take a look at our current starting rotation right now. If you trade Nate Eovaldi, you are looking at a rotation of Nick Pivetta, who has not been very good lately. You're looking at Hill and Waka, who have been a bit of question marks this year to begin with. Then on top of that, you had the fact that they're both injured. Hill is supposed to be coming back relatively soon, but I haven't heard a single thing on Waka. You have Winkowski, who's been well below average for his first year in the league. Then you got a bunch of question marks. Whether Cutter Crawford can actually truly develop into the starting pitcher that we've seen the last couple of days, what we're going to get from James Paxton, when Chris Sale's going to come back, will Brian Bayo be able to make it in a major league roster? There are a ton of different questions regarding this starting rotation. So if the Red Sox genuinely want to make a push of the postseason, taking Nate Eovaldi out of that equation just adds more question marks and more problems to this pitching staff. If Chaim Bloom is saying all that and then realizing that, hey, maybe the Red Sox don't got it this year, right? Maybe this just isn't their year. Let's retool and focus on 2023. Then you look at Nate Eovaldi as a relatively valuable trade piece for a contending team, and that would be the most smart move in my opinion. But my problem is right now is I don't know where the Red Sox stand. I don't know if anyone knows where the Red Sox stand. I can tell you where I think they stand, but we're not going to find out until August 2nd. So I don't really know what's going to happen with Nate Eovaldi. I would say at this point, you're looking at 70-30, 70% chance that Nate Eovaldi's on the move, 30% chance he stays, but I could be wrong. That number could be 80-20, 60-40, 50-50, who knows? So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think of this? Would you have Nate Eovaldi on the trading block, yes or no? And if you do, are you actually going to trade him away? And if you are going to trade him away, what are you trading him away for? Let me know all your thoughts on Nate Eovaldi trades and trades in general down below. As always, if you've made it to the end of this video, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, like I said at the beginning, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. You made it to the end of this video, so you clearly enjoy the content, might as well subscribe. You also might as well hit that like button as well. It helps these videos out a ton, would mean a lot to me. And one more thing, if you really enjoyed this video, share with a friend or family member who loves the Red Sox as much as you do, because that would mean a whole lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.